Initial configuration of a Plesk server. This tutorial will show you how to set up the initial configuration of a new Plesk server. Enter the URL to access Plesk. Plesk listens for HTTPS requests from the browser on port 8443, so you will need to have traffic allowed on that port through any firewalls that may be on your local machine or network. If your domain is still pointing to a different server, or your DNS changes have not propagated yet, you can use the IP address of the server instead of your domain. You may see a screen that looks similar to this. This is because Plesk uses a self-signed certificate to facilitate the encrypted connection, and it may not be generated for a different domain on the server. This is normal. Different browsers have different procedures for accepting self-signed and mismatched SSL certificates. Check your browser documentation for the procedure for accepting the certificate if necessary. Click the Continue to this website link. Enter the login. Enter the password. Click the Login button. Click the server link. First, let's set up the information for the admin user. Although it is usually not necessary, we can create other accounts with administrator-level access. It is also a security risk to grant administrator-level access to users, so it is recommended that you proceed with caution. Click the Edit icon. Disabling this option can keep you from logging in if there's an existing session still active for the user. Enter the company name. In configuring users at all levels, there will be many fields that are optional for contact information. Required fields will be marked with an asterisk. Enter the contact name. If you will be using an email address that will be hosted on this server, as we are, you will want to create the account in the Mail section of the domain panel for your primary domain. For information on adding mail accounts, refer to the tutorial Managing Mail Accounts in Plesk. Click the OK button. You may want to reset the admin password that was originally provided to you. Click the Change Password icon. Enter the old password. Enter the new password. Enter the Confirm password. Enter the Confirm password. For security reasons, you may want to restrict access to Plesk as an admin to only be allowed from specific networks or IP addresses. Click the Access icon. Click the Add New Network icon to add a network or IP address. Plesk can be configured to use the list of networks or IPs inclusively, allowing only those networks or IPs to connect, or exclusively, effectively blocking access to an admin from the networks or IPs listed. It is advised to be careful when configuring these options, as it is easy to deny yourself the ability to access the admin panel or reduce the ability for your provider to assist you in an expedient manner if you. These settings only apply to administrator-level access to the Plesk control panel. They will not affect other levels of access or other types of traffic. For information on restricting other types of traffic to the server, refer to the tutorial Configuring the Firewall in Plesk. Click the server link. From here, we can manage the IP addresses bound to the server. IP addresses will be assigned by your hosting provider and are usually assigned in contiguous blocks. Your server should be pre-configured with all of the IP addresses in the initial block already bound to the server. Additional IPs that are ordered will likely not be in the same contiguous block as the original set. For information on managing IP addresses, refer to the tutorial Managing IP Addresses in Plesk. Click the System Preferences icon. Here we can set the host name for our server. These settings control how logging and statistics are handled. Click the server link. Here is where we manage the components that are installed on this server. Here is where we can manage the services that are running. For information about managing components and services, refer to the tutorial Managing Services and Components in Plesk. Here is where we can configure the global mail settings for the server. For information about configuring mail services, refer to the tutorial Configuring Email Services in Plesk. Before you start adding clients and domains to the server, you will want to set up the zone template that will be used to create the DNS records in the zone for the domains that are added. Click the DNS Settings icon. Here is where we configure the zone template that is used for DNS zones that are created automatically for the domains we add. Let's add an A record to the template. For more detailed information about configuring the zone template, refer to the tutorial Managing DNS in Plesk. Click the Add New DNS Record icon. Enter the domain name. Enter the IP address. Entering an actual IP address, such as our primary IP address, will create an A record in each zone to point the name to that specific IP address. To have it create a record pointing at the IP address assigned to the domain when the domain is added, we enter the value greater than IP less than. Click the OK button. Click the server link. Click the Database Servers icon. By default, Plesk comes with 2 database server engines installed. Let's look at the global preferences for both of them. Click the Preferences icon. Enabling these options will prevent conflicts between database names and users for databases created for your domains. This setting controls whether the server will permit installation of software configured to connect to a database hosted somewhere else. Click the OK button. Now let's look at the settings for each engine. Click the Local MySQL Server link. Initially, the password for the master user for both database engines was set to be the same as the original admin password for Plesk. However, resetting the admin password for Plesk does not update the master user's password for the database engine. You do not have to use the same password, but this is often done as a matter of convention. Let's update the password. It is recommended that you create individual users to connect to databases used by your domains instead of configuring the applications to connect using the master user for the database engine. For more information on managing databases and database users, refer to the following tutorials: Managing MS SQL databases in Plesk and Managing MySQL databases in Plesk. Click the Change Password icon. Enter the new password. Enter the Confirm password. Click the OK button. Click the Preferences icon. You should not need to change any of these settings for locally hosted databases and applications that connect to them. Here is the login for the master user for this database engine. If you need to change this for some reason, you would need to make the change in the database engine outside of Plesk and then update here. Attempting this is not recommended. Click the Database Servers link. Now let's look at the other engine. Click the Local MySQL Server link. Let's update the password for it as well. Click the Change Password link. Enter the new password. Enter the Confirm password. Click the OK button. Now let's look at the preferences. Click the Preferences icon. Again, you should not need to change any of these settings for locally hosted databases and applications that connect to them. Here is the login for the master user for this database engine. If you need to change this for some reason, you would need to make the change in the database engine outside of Plesk and then update here. Attempting this is not recommended. Click the server link. The next thing you will want to do before you start adding clients and domains is make sure the skeleton directory structure has any custom settings that you will want, if any. Clients can create their own skeletons for the domains they add. Click the skeleton icon. The document root for a domain on a Plesk server is the HTTP docs directory. Click the HTTP docs link. If you want to change the default directory structure to include specific files and/or directories, create a zip archive of the structure in your local machine. Then, click the Browse button and select the file. Then, click the Send File button to upload the archive. Plesk will use the archive to create a custom skeleton to use instead of the default directory structure. Click the Default button to restore the default structure to the skeleton. Click the server link. Here we can manage which web application packages are available for installation on our domains. For more information about web applications, refer to the tutorial Managing Web Application Packages in Plesk. Click the System Time icon. Here you can adjust the date and time settings for the server. Click the server link. Click the FTP settings icon. By default, the server is configured to not allow passive FTP connections. If you remove the block, here is where you would specify the port range used for the passive transfers. Click the server link. Click the certificates icon. Here is where you would install and manage the SSL certificates installed on the server. For more information about installing and managing SSL certificates, refer to the tutorial Managing SSL Certificates in Plesk. Click the Clients link. By default, there is already one client configured for you. But before you add the others, you will likely want to set up client templates with the various options you will want to offer to the clients that will resell hosting for domains on your server. Client templates are a group of settings that can be applied to the clients you create so that you don't have to individually adjust all the settings when creating new clients. For more information about client settings, refer to the tutorial Managing Clients in Plesk. Click the Domains link. There is also a domain already added for your primary domain. You will also likely want to add domain templates with the settings for the domains you will add. Clients will also be able to create their own domain templates. Let's adjust some settings in the domain panel for our primary domain. For more information about managing domains, refer to the tutorial Managing Domains in Plesk. Click the domain name. Click the DNS settings icon. You will want to make sure that there are A records for your private name servers and your host name in the zone for your primary domain. Let's add one for our host name. Click the Add Record icon. Enter the domain name, enter the IP address, click the OK button. Click the Update button. Congratulations! You now know how to set up the initial configuration of a new Plesk server.